Hi, Rob Linhart here in the Hazel's Wine Department, and we've got something special for you today. I'm here with Nick Weaver. He's our representative for Chateau d'Esclans. Most of you know Chateau d'Esclans from Whispering Angel, one of the all-time classics, a benchmark rosé. We're going to be covering the full lineup today, so a treat for everybody. We're going to get started here with Nick.
Guys, I am so stoked to bring you what is basically the world's greatest portfolio of rosé. What's amazing is Chateau d'Esclans can really take you through your entire rosé journey. We can start here with the Palm by Whispering Angel, a nice entry-level price point. That's an inexpensive and cheerful wine, a little bit more fruit-forward, but still has that like herbs de Provence and that dry finish that you really want out of a French rosé. Then, as you guys know, the Whispering Angel is like nothing else. One of the creamiest, most supple, most floral and beautiful rosés on the market. Totally worth that little extra spend, as we have proven true. Whispering Angel is the #1 selling premium rosé in all of Colorado and all of the US, but certainly worth every penny. Well, what we're bringing today, though, aside from those wines, is kind of like a few unique entries that you may not know about. And we'll be talking about the winemaking behind it that's really unique to Chateau d'Esclans, and really nobody else in Provence is doing these kind of styles. These final rosés, they stand up to what are the best wines in all of France and maybe the world. Rob, to kick it off, got to have Rob on the video, man. He's got so much energy. He's got all the best descriptors.
Thank you.
So I had to pull a blind for you today.
Putting me on the spot.
Yeah, so blind wine tasting out of a black glass, so he can't see the color of the wine either. You're really going to have to get your senses going on this one, Rob.
Wow.
What's the nose telling you?
First impression here is of some very ripe fruit, almost caramelized fruit is what I'm getting here. And in fact, even a hint of caramel might be coming through here a little bit. A whiff of floral notes. Oh my God, let's just stop right there. We don't have spitters. A little excited. Fruit on this for me, there's a nice floral note. I'm thinking about apple, citrus blossom as well.
I want you to really think about the quality of this wine. Really think about the quality cues in the winemaking behind this wine that maybe you're picking up.
Right out of the gate, texturally, there's a very good touch here. Round, polish is a word that comes to mind with this wine.
Absolutely.
Immaculate winemaking here. Balance, great acidity coming through on the finish here. They did a good job of keeping the acidity in this wine.
Barrel or no barrel?
I'm a little on the fence here about that, to be honest, but I think there must be some barrel.
You did mention caramel. Give me your best guess of what the wine is.
The tartness in this wine, especially on the finish, the fruit, maybe a little barrel. Frankly, I'm leaning a bit towards a higher end Chablis, maybe one that's seen a little oak. That's kind of where I'm going right now.
Very cool. All right, stay tuned. We'll see if Rob is correct. So let's jump into the rest of the line. If you're a Whispering Angel fan, which I know a lot of you are, natural progression to a more intense, more luscious wine is going to be the Rock Angel here, which is named for a rockier soil sourcing in Provence, which gives the wine almost a Sancerre-like minerality. Let's let Rob be the judge.
d'Esclans perfume is right on top of this wine. There's a nice, almost sort of brown flower floral note to this. A linden, maybe.
Hawthorn.
That's a good one, yeah. Yeah, there you go.
I actually don't know if Hawthorn's brown.
Yeah, exactly.
Not quite a fully dried, like potpourri aroma, but just some mature flowers. Definitely get the stones right away.
Just a hint of tropicality to this wine for me. I'm definitely getting a little touch of maybe guava. And this is often the case, that minerality is right there, especially driving through for me the mid to the back palate and the finish. It's getting almost downright grippy now, a bit chalky on the finish, and that's that stony source.
Yeah.
Maybe some melon tones here, just a ton of fruit going on. This is one of those wines that's just going to keep opening up in the glass as well. Comparing that to the classic Whispering Angel, really Rock says it all. If you're looking for that increase in minerality, you're looking for a firmer weight to this wine, you're going to find it in the Rock Angel. So it's just going to give you the Whispering Angel and just kind of pump it up a little bit is really where we're going here.
I will mention a little bit of the winemaking technique that is unique to the Rock Angel and with all of our wines moving forward is the introduction of a neutral barrel fermentation. These aren't the small 225 liter barrels that you see when you go wine tasting, the smaller style. They're actually 600 liters, so they're quite a bit larger. So you get that, what you mentioned, like oxidative quality that helps the fruit kind of relax. It's not so fresh and young and vibrant. It's actually a little bit deeper in quality that helps with the body, stability of the wine. So whereas a lot of rosés we're in 2020 vintage now. They were made last year and they get rushed right out of the door and on the market.
Yeah.
The Rock Angel is actually held back about maybe 4 or 5 months where we do continuous batonnage. We stir the lees in the barrel and then combine that with some stainless steel fermented wine kept away from oxygen. And you get that perfect like merriment of both styles in the Rock Angel.
So much like the wine we taste blind here, we're going to see that a little bit, that attack, that texture on the attack, very round, very almost voluptuous texture, and then it just tightens up to that firm, steely acidity that comes through from, as you say, the addition of some non-barrel treated wine. Can't get away from the finish. Fantastic. Yeah,
So
great
good.
finish.
Long finish.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into what is known as like the estate collection. The last 3 wines are all from the Chateau d'Esclans property, and the flagship wine is only sourced from a 5-acre parcel. So it's incredibly small production, a rare wine. Certainly if you're looking for that gem, something really special, you can find it here at Hazel's. You might not find it anywhere else. So cheers.
Immediately higher tones. Now I'm starting to pick up more of a overt sort of slightly herbal element here. Definitely getting some lift. Go with fennel or licorice here. So we're definitely now starting to pick up. I wouldn't quite go to garrigue, but we're kind of leaning in that direction a little bit here right now.
Yeah, I do see a lot of that garrigue, the lavender, rosemary is really exposed with the more stainless steel fermented wines. And then when we get oak into play, I think those herbs sometimes they kind of resemble more mature qualities. Like you mentioned, I think of fennel, mushroom.
Me on fruit, we're leading here with stone fruit. There's a bit of citrus hanging around in there. Again on the attack, this just almost voluptuous round texture. I just love the texture of this wine when it hits your palate, just silky and round. The acidity stays a bit softer, still firm, but it doesn't really come quite to that place where it's really stabbing at you here. So nice, still very good, juicier finish, I would say, on this wine. Oh, go ahead.
Full body.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I think definitely a bit more
Richer
weight
style.
here.
The doughy quality, the creamy quality that you would find in like a Blanc de Blanc champagne comes through in this wine. Yet the fruit set of Provence Rosé, so it's like tart strawberries, peaches, stone fruit. I get a vein of cantaloupe like on all these wines.
So with that barrel treatment and with that batonnage, you know, when we talk about champagne, for example, in most cases we expect to really get that bready, yeasty sort of character. Here, it's really more of a textural element, and surely we pick up a little bit of that kind of Lee's character, but it's really balanced by the fruit. It's really not driving the bus. That barrel treatment, in a way, takes a back seat and really just kind of supplements what's going on in the wine. That's a top-notch winemaking there.
Wow. The next wine is called Le Clan. We're moving higher in elevation on the property. We are sort of south-facing for the whole estate, so perfect sunlight from morning till afternoon. Facing the ocean, if you think about how Provence is actually facing south, the east-west valleys actually bring the salinity from the sea up into the valley, and you see that a lot in sort of the wines that are from sandier soils that are planted closer to the ocean. Vendôme comes to mind, and then on our property too, which is in the Côte de Provence appellation. So as you move up the hill, the soils become more rocky and more limestone laden, just like in Burgundy. You're gonna get more chalky limestone as we move up the hill. And then of course we see a little more care in the winemaking, and we start to introduce more barrel fermentation to the Le Clan. So let's taste this
All
gem.
right.
I believe this was one of your favorites.
Indeed it was. And yeah, there's definitely now some overt oak here up front. There's some an obvious oak influence here. Vanilla, little hints of spices, beautiful floral sort of richness to this wine up front on the nose before it's even hit the palate. Sort of primed for this big experience with this wine. And yeah, again with that sort of caramelization on the fruit, that super ripeness of the fruit. Intense streak of preserved citrus here, preserved lemon, just a laser beam into my brain here. There's a common thread that runs through these wines, and it's this just perfume. Dare I say it, cologne-ish? We're starting to lean more towards sort of sandalwood. So the oak up front here, but on the palate, the oak immediately tries to take a back seat to let the fruit come through. I suspect a fair bit of time here in barrel. Certainly some new oak here. Just the sheer depth of the fruit, the quality of the fruit that's going on here. As this gets on the palate, the oak just starts to fade. The fruit kind of comes out from behind that on the palate. And for me, that fruit just keeps charging right through to a lovely, lovely, again, nice chalky finish. This one for me, as lush as it starts out, it does that drying out sort of thing as it comes through from the attack through the mid palate to the finish. It kind of dries out, and just makes me want to taste more.
When we tasted this wine before, I was like, man, there's such a bitter orange quality to this wine. Makes me think of Aperol. Even Montenegro Amaro has that real bitter forward note. I mean, just to find that in a wine, like, that's unreal. These wines really are like nothing you've ever tasted. To the grand finale, we've moved all the way up to the highest elevation on the property. We are sourcing from, again, a single parcel that has the oldest Grenache vines on the property. Without further ado, we are going to roll into what is regarded as the greatest rosé in the world. It's the most collectible, it's the most ageable, and again, we're a couple vintages behind with these wines because they have been matured and stabilized so that they can withstand the test of time. This is a safe bet. I mean, you can't go wrong at any price point. Let's taste it. Let's see what Rob thinks of the Garous.
Now we know that this has seen some oak treatment. The oak here, not quite as obvious. A little more kind of down in the wine here. Beautiful high tones, and there it is, that perfume, that beautiful soft perfume that comes through in all these wines. And I feel like I just want to fall into this glass. Very distinct freshness to the fruit that's living on top of this wine right now. I can just almost smell the orchard right now if I was walking out there in those fruit trees and walking out there in those vines.
It's like if a guava pastry met a snickerdoodle.
The oak is more up front on the Leclan. Here, I think integration is the word I'm looking for. The oak is definitely kind of gone into the wine more. The gorgeous, round, voluptuous texture, this great weight to this wine. For all that impact though, and for that weight, there's a subtlety to the fruit here that I find very appealing. I think the most cerebral of the wines that we have here. These are wines that I would love to cellar and see where they were in 2 years, 5 years, God willing, maybe even 10 years, and see where they go. And again, now picking up some of that citrusy orange you're talking about is kind of coming through out of the glass now, right? Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Rob, so, I mean, your descriptors are amazing as always. And what you're describing to me is, a world-class wine. A perfectly integrated, winemaking decisions are on point to create a wine that's sort of perfectly balanced, ageable, and also has these incredible flavors that are ready now. So let's talk a little bit about price point on the last couple wines.
All right, so we're talking about expensive rosé here, $65 to $85. In some places, if you find it, you'd probably be pushing $100 here, and you think, how could I be spending that kind of money on a rosé?
You never
Do
knew
I
they
really
existed.
need to spend that kind of money on a rosé? Well, the reason you want to spend that kind of money on a rosé is because, straight up, this is not your everyday rosé. It has to give you something more than what you're used to paying for.
Yep.
So it either has to be unusual, different, or just plain that much better. We're getting all of those things here. these rosés are taking it 3-4 levels more than what you're going to get. Even, we're talking about the classic Whispering Angel here, but the layers, the depth, the concentration that you get here, the interest in these wines, it's just in a whole other place. The fact that we can age these wines, that speaks to the care, the dedication in the winery, the dedication in the vineyard. Extremely picky when these get sorted in the winery. You know, only the best fruit's going to go into this wine. They remind me of the kind of winemaking that goes into in Montrachet, Chassagne, Pouligny. We see in Marceau the minerality, the depth, the touch with oak that gets it just right, that gives these wines the ability to drink well now, but drink better later as well. If you're a Burgundy drinker, this is going to be right in your wheelhouse.
To Rob's point, these are world-class, almost like your Grand Cru Burgundies. Rob was so brave to do a blind with me today. A lot of the quality cues that you mentioned are super accurate. So, any final calls on the wine now after you've drawn some conclusions with the Provence?
Well, we'll stick to our guns. We'll see how wide of the mark Rob is here. So don't tell me we're going to end up in Burgundy, are we?
We are in Burgundy, and I'm going to give it to you because earlier in the tasting, you had mentioned this village, so I think you were on the right track. But this is a Colline Chassagne Montrachet 2018 vintage. I wanted to do this to point out the similar qualities in the wine, the similar winemaking. Obviously, the fruit set is very different. But where would you place in cost this Chassagne Montrachet?
For Hazel's pricing, I'd put a $50 floor on this, and that's Hazel's pricing.
I'll tell you what, if I could get this wine for $50, I'd probably buy it.
Probably, yeah, right.
In comparison, this Chassagne Montrachet is about $90, $95, so a very expensive white wine, regarded as one of the great white wines of the world. Brings a lot into perspective, that you didn't place this wine as high in cost. But when you're tasting the Leclan and Garus and all these wines, they really over-deliver actually for what you pay.
And again, that's the minimum that I would expect to pay for this at Hazel's. So.
Great price it is.
Yeah.
All right, Rob. Well, thank you so much for having me. I hope the viewers really realized what rosé could be, as well as finding just some everyday gems that you can afford. These are all wines that you got to check out somewhere in your rosé journey. So thank you so much. Anything else, Rob?
It's been a pleasure.
All wines are in stock. I checked the shelf.
All right. The top two, the Leclan, the Garus, you will find in the cellar. So be sure to ask, and we'll find them for you. The rest you'll find in the regular rosé sets. And have at them and enjoy.
Thank you. And as we like to say
Nick,
at
thank
Hazel's,
you. Rosé all day.